Hi, Yoav, and welcome to this week's Top 5 Security Facts. Iran has just launched a satellite carrier rocket into space in a move that the West said violates international demands to cut back on missile program capabilities. The launch came Thursday aboard a civilian rocket and carried 3 unspecified devices. Iran has been attempting to advance their space program by leaps and bounds in recent years. Last year, the Revolutionary Guard launched a military observation satellite, even though Western intelligence dismissed its capabilities. Iran's space program has suffered a series of mysterious and sometimes fatal failures and explosions in recent years, though. Sabotage has been occasionally blamed for it. The new launch comes as nuclear talks in Vienna seem to provide no results. And early in the week, Iran threatened Israel by launching 16 precision-guided ballistic missiles at a target designed to look like Israel's Dimona nuclear complex. Iran warned Israel that any military action taken against the Islamic regime would lead to Israel, quote, having its hands cut off. The threat came days after Iranian state media published a map of Israel with possible targets for regime missiles. Now, Israel maintains a far more advanced missile defense network than Iran, though, including the Arrow high-altitude interceptor, the David Sling medium-range interceptor, and the Iron Dome sort of point-blank interceptor. This is in addition to the U.S.-made and deployed Terminal high-altitude area defense system. And Ukraine is still prepping for their own nightmare scenario, a full-scale Russian invasion in the winter, and it's readying the last line of defense against Moscow, civilian militias. Architects, researchers, university students, entirely civilian forces are training with Kalashnikovs, mortars, and anti-tank weapons. Armed with the grim knowledge that should Russia invade, Ukraine's military would likely not be able to hold off the aging superpower. Reservist numbers have increased to about 100,000 to bolster the 215,000-strong Ukrainian army. Meanwhile, the Russian military says it has withdrawn 10,000 soldiers under their Southern Command's motorized rifle division from that very same border, returning them to their permanent bases, and said they have concluded their training exercise. The move drew some dim hope from analysts that maybe Russia was canceling its military buildup, but the remaining ground deployments undermine that claim. The units from Central and Western Command, they still number around 95,000 on the border, as well as their armored units, their missile and artillery divisions. Simultaneously, other units have been moved into the area, hiding the total deployment numbers. Western intelligence claims that Russia could invade early 2022. And finally, Japan is readying for its own doomsday scenario too, this time the threat of a Chinese invasion. Early this week, Japan passed the biggest military budget in the nation's democratic history, 5.4 trillion yen, or $47 billion. Japan is struggling to keep pace with China's military budget, which is already 4 times that of Japan, and growing far faster, and is second only to the United States. The new budget includes provisions for U.S. forces stationed in the area and funding to develop an advanced 5th generation of stealth fighter, as well as deploy air defense systems around the Sea of Japan. That's an area that China has heavily contested. Japan has stated that should China invade Taiwan, as Beijing has promised to do, then Japan would be forced to intervene, believing that they're next. In response, China has threatened to use nuclear weapons against Japan. That's it for this week, but stay tuned for all the top security news from all around the world.